Hi guys, James at RampantLionReviews again for you today with another beer review. For this one we are going to head over to Ireland once again, and we're going to do my third visit to a brewery who have been pretty much ripping it up recently. These guys have been doing some awesome beers, and I've been quite lucky to get a hold of some of them for you. And this one in particular is one that the Irish guys following the channel really recommended that I have a look at. So thank you to those of you who are supporting the channel, and thank you for the recommendation as well. I hope this one is going to be pretty good, but I'm sure it will be. So for this one we're going to return to Whiplash Brewing from County Kildare, and we're having a taste of their Fatal Deviation today. So this is their Imperial Stout. It comes in at 10% ABV, and it should be pretty bloody good. It was rated 99 overall in Rate Beer, and I think it had a 47 within the style. So that tells you, usually we rate beer, I always say take it with a bit of a pinch of salt, but that should tell you it's a bloody good Imperial Stout, but it will be quite kind of unusual or kind of unorthodox if you like, and it was rated well into the 4 stars on Untappd as well when I checked out earlier. Like I say, it comes as a recommendation from the channel's Irish followers, and they tend to be very good when it comes to pointing to good things to drink. So I'm sure it'll be an interesting beer, and as always I hope you guys enjoy my take on it. And this, as I say, I've had very positive experiences with this brewery in the past. So anyway, as is usual with my reviews then, I'll tell you a little bit about the brewery. If you want to get straight to the tasting, of course, just fast forward. All the usual links are in the description below. That's the brewery website, the link to my other reviews that I've done from Whiplash before. No doubt there will be some more in the near future. This is my third review from these guys. There's all the usual social media. If you want to see more beer reviews, do please consider subscribing to the channel. The whole channel, of course, has a geography-based tagging system, so you can go into the homepage and check out beers based on country, city or state, whatever it is you're interested in, county and prefecture and all that as well. Do check out the playlist of beers from different countries. There is one there for all the Irish beers that I'm reviewing for, and that's been added to whenever I can. And as always, please do get in touch and let me know some of the other beers and breweries that you guys would like to see me review. It's always great to hear from you guys that are watching the videos, and the support that you show the channel is hugely appreciated. And do in particular let me know about some other Irish beers and breweries that I should be checking out. There have been some recommendations so far, and it's really cool that we're starting to see the Irish beers emerge out, but there's a few that I haven't quite been able to get a hold of yet, but fingers crossed it's only a matter of time. But anyway, just to tell you a little bit about Whiplash then. So as I've told you before, Whiplash is the kind of side, it started off as the side project of Alex Laws, who was the head brewer at Rye River Brewing in Selbridge in County Kildare in Ireland. So he called it Whiplash basically as a jibe at how fast the craft beer industry is moving, and the company is also co-owned by Alan Wolfe, who's the big boss at Rye River. So Alex was a home brewer and took part in various homebrewing competitions across Ireland before later turning professional and working for Brewtonic and Otterbank as well before moving on to Rye River. But he was later involved in actually setting up the Rye River Brewing Company, which was apparently the first newly built microbrewery in Ireland for over 100 years. But he wanted to continue kind of producing his own beers as well. So Rye River were very supportive of this and allowed him to actually use their equipment and produce his own recipes and things like that. So Alex basically brews the beers while Alan deals with things like getting the labels printed, getting the cans and getting the bottles, and just all the ordering, kind of the admin side of the brewery and materials and all of this kind of thing. And as of late 2017, they've produced around, I think they produced around 20 or so different beers. But very recently, of course, as well, Alex actually left his position at Rye River as the head brewer to focus completely on Whiplash. But I do think Alan is still involved in the company as well. There's still a very good working relationship there, but Alex is focusing all of his time now on Whiplash, and they've been doing very well. These beers have been getting rave reviews. As I've told you before, my experiences in the past have been very positive, so I'm glad that I'm able to review this one for you, particularly after a number of the followers on the channel from Ireland recommended it to me. So I hope you guys enjoy my take on this beer, like I said. So yeah, I'll let you just have a little look at the artwork on this one before we open it up. That's all you really need to know about the brewery. The website and the Facebook page and stuff for them is in the description below, so follow them there. Check out the website if you want to read a little bit more. There you can see it. The artwork on this one's a little bit random. Some dude holding up like a tie of snakes or something like that, and I think that's it. Is that a Huey hog that's on the top of the artwork there? It looks, you know, I don't know what would go through somebody's head to make them paint that, to be honest, but fair enough. So there you can see Fatal Deviation. The malt base in this one is Pilsner malt, brown malt and aromatic malt. There's some chocolate malts in there as well. It uses Columbus hops, and the yeast strain in this one is WLP 007. So yeah, should be quite nice. 4.4 UK units apparently. It's a 440ml can. I don't understand why breweries are using these 440ml cans. From what I understand, that's a US pint, so they're kind of copying the likes of Cloudwater and all these breweries by using these size of cans. I don't get that. Just use a half litre. I have to say, just use the half litre, use the European measurements. Don't go to these stupid American things with fluid ounces and stuff like that. Plus the fact we get more beer. It could well be a pricing thing, right enough. to keep the prices down a little bit and make people think they're getting a little bit more, marketing strategies and all that. But as I said, 10% Imperial Stout, some interesting malts in there. So let's get this guy out and we'll go on with the tasting then. And you can smell some of that nice cocoa coming out of it. But yeah, nice, oh, some nice sort of dark chocolates and brown sugar malts coming out of this already. I think we'll leave it at that for the moment. But yeah, as you can see, and as you would expect from an Imperial Stout, it's poured a nice dark ebony rosewood colour. You can smell some of these nice kind of toasty malty qualities coming off this beer. But yeah, nice dark ebony rosewood colour. There's a solid 2/3 finger of a frothy beige tan head on that one. We've probably got 2/3 of the beer in the glass, to be honest with you, something like that. But yeah, 1 or 2 big bubbles sticking towards the side of the glass and a few little ones just heading up towards the bottom of that head there. But overall, you know, it looks pretty nice. So yeah, so let's take a closer look at the aroma then and just see how we get on. And when you go in a bit closer to it, right away you're getting some of that high cocoa chocolate. So yeah, nice little bit of roasted black malt as the backbone there. But yeah, this one's got, that's interesting, it's really got a nice kind of toasted, almost slightly, it's almost got a little bit of a smoky quality to it, which is quite interesting. Because there's certainly no smoked malt in it, from what it says on the side. That's really interesting. That's almost got like a really kind of toasted bready quality to it. Yeah, but there's some nice dark chocolate in there. Some sweeter milky kind of notes coming out of it as well, which is interesting. A lot of brown sugar, right enough though. You can get a nice toasted caramelly. I don't know, maybe if I'm not sure if it's quite treacle. It is quite sweet actually, but it's got a nice sort of toffee kind of caramel note to it. This one. Maybe a little bit of licorice when you sugar it up a little bit more. You can pick up a little bit of the earthiness from the hops. And the red fruity esters are nice. There is a little bit of sharpness to them, so I'd maybe say it's kind of raisins on this one. It's not too sharp though, but you can just smell that little bit of sharper ester coming off this beer, which makes me kind of think raisins. But yeah, that almost smoky character that this beer has underneath, it's quite interesting. It's really, when I say smoky, I'm not talking to the levels of like Rauch beer and stuff like this. It's just, there is a little bit of that in there, although in fairness, when my nose is adjusted to the beer, that seems to have disappeared. Maybe I'm imagining things. But yeah, to be fair, there's a kind of bready sort of grainy note to this one, almost cakey actually. It's almost a bit like a kind of boozy cakey note that's underpinning this beer. The roasted black malts are in there as well, but overall, it does seem like quite an interesting smelling beer. And it does smell really interesting. So yeah, take a little bit of time and have a look at the aroma, as I always say before you try the beers. Let me know about that little smoky thing as well. Surely I can't have been the only one that's kind of picked up on that. But as I say, that's disappeared. But without further ado then, let's get stuck into this beer. So this one is the Fatal Deviation, the Imperial Stout at 10% ABV from Whiplash Brewing Company from County Kildare in Ireland. Once again, thank you for the recommendation. Let's get stuck in. Slàinte, skål. Ooh, that's pretty good. I have to say right away, that's a good beer. It leans a little bit more towards the roasty, toasty side of things. What I'll tell you about this, the taste that you get out of this beer is not really what you expect from the aroma. I was expecting it to be a little bit more sweet and kind of quite brown sugary, and it does have that, but it does lean a little bit more towards the roasty, toasty, bitter kind of thing than you would expect. But it has the thing that does come out in the flavour with this one is that almost kind of bready, cakey malt base that you can pick up in the aroma. I would say that about it. Yeah. It's interesting. I've not had an Imperial Stout that has this kind of feel to it in quite a wee while. And you know, that's what you want as a beer chipper. You do want things. You do want to have it varying up a little bit, but this is a nice beer. Give it a go if you get the chance. I'll say that straight away. I wouldn't have expected anything less from these guys, but this is a solid Imperial Stout. Give it a go if you get the chance. And as I always say with these dark beers, sugar it around your palate a little bit and let your whole mouth kind of adjust to it and mellow out to it before you start analysing it too much. But that's nice. The malt base in this one comes across as very, very smooth. So you can feel a little bit of that kind of lighter character just blanket in the middle of your tongue. There is a little bit of an almost cakey feel to this one. It's got a little bit of a spicy note to it as well, but it's not overpowering. It's just a kind of smooth spice, and it really complements the toasted black malts of the beer as well. As the beer kind of mellows out, you get a little bit of that roasted black malty character pushing its way out just towards the middle of your tongue. Right in the middle of your palate, you can pick up some of these brown sugars. The brown sugar notes, incidentally, in this one are quite toasted. And I would say they are dark. They come across as a bit lighter and a bit more sweet out of the aroma, but they are quite dark with this one. As you move outside of that towards the edge of your tongue, there's definitely a kind of high cocoa chocolate presence. You know, 80 kind of 90% cocoa chocolate. You are getting that out of this beer. But yeah, it's good. I mean, that's the thing you're going to notice about this beer right away. Is just how good quality it is. And with this one, you know, see, to be honest, when the flavour mellows out a little bit, I can see why I was getting that almost smoky quality out of it. I've just misidentified it, but you'll see towards the front of your tongue there's this nice bready quality. It's almost got a little bit of a kind of spicy note to it. It's not quite rye bread, but it's something not too far away. It's got a little bit more spicy quality to it than that. And it's almost just got this kind of toasted, bready quality to it, which is quite interesting. Definitely not smoky, as I was picking up briefly in the aroma, but just pay attention to that little bit behind the front curve of your palate. I don't think I've had an Imperial Stout that has something quite like that in it, but it really works for this beer. The thing that's unique about this one is that sort of slightly bready-ish, grainy, kind of cakey malt base that it has. It's a really interesting kind of concoction, this beer, but it's really well done. You're going to get that straight away with this one, and the toasty, grainy characters towards the back of your tongue, they really kind of go well together with these sort of cereally, not quite cereally, bready kind of aspects that this beer has. It's a good beer. Have a go at it, seriously, it's really nice. The only problem with this beer is that it is a little bit like Gold Dust. It's very difficult to come across this one. I think you can only kind of get it online or over in the Republic of Ireland. Hopefully this is one that does make its way out to Ireland in greater make its way out of Ireland in greater volumes quite soon. But yeah, there's maybe a little bit of a kind of licoricey note just at the front end of this beer. The middle of your tongue goes a little bit oily, and you can feel there's a little bit of a licoricey note in there. Maybe a slight woodiness as well coming out of the beer. Not nutty, I don't think. Maybe just a little bit of a kind of woody character as well. The hops are pretty much straight up on this one. In the back corners of your palate, you've got quite a bit of bitterness, a bitter earthy character, and as you come further forward along the sides of your tongue, it mellows out a little bit. It just kind of smooths out. There is a little bit of bitterness on the front corners of the palate, then as you go round the very front curve of the tongue, you do get just a little bit of grassiness, but some of the earthiness is actually spreading around the front curve of the palate there as well, and of course that builds a good bridge between the sort of roasty black malt backbone and the nice kind of hoppy notes of the beer. Just behind the front curve of the palate as well, that's where you get this little oily bubble where the kind of juicy fruity notes come out on this one. And in comparison to the aroma, like I said, the aroma does have a little bit of sharpness to it, which was making me think raisins, but with this one, you know, it starts off with a little bit of sharpness, but then it mellows out and becomes a little bit more kind of figgy, to be honest with you. It does have a more kind of a candied red fruity presence, this one. It's got a kind of candied, almost like a kind of candied strawberry a little bit, something like that. It's maybe not strawberries, it's not quite as tart as raspberries or anything like that. It's maybe a sort of figgy strawberry kind of mix, that's coming out of this beer, but the fruits are just a little bit juicy. As I say, just pay attention to that little bit behind the front curve of your tongue. But this beer really is quite interesting. The fact that these guys, after what, you know, maybe a year or so, can produce an Imperial Stout like that, you know, that kind of says it all about the quality of brewing that they're doing over there. So I can see a very bright future for these guys. I think I said the same pretty much with their other beers as well. So I'm really glad that I got to try this one. If you get the chance to have a go at this beer, definitely do it, because the quality just kind of jumps out at you. And the thing that's interesting about this one is the kind of slightly bready, cakey kind of malt base that this one has, and a little bit of the woody aspects as well. It's got a really interesting malt base to it, this one, that's quite unusual in comparison to some of the other Imperial Stouts that I've had before. Maybe it's almost a little bit like, it's somewhere between a kind of oatmeal stout and a slightly roasty, toasty, bitter kind of stout, like a sort of not quite coffee stout, but leaning to a stout that leans towards that sort of roasty, toasty bitterness, but it does have some of the slightly sweeter aspects to it as well. In the aftertaste, it's the earthy hops that are sitting there, a little bit of that kind of bready, cakey, grainy sort of thing that's underpinning the beer, some of the chocolate, a little bit of the brown sugar, and just a wee touch of the fruit as well. But the whole beer, this one just kind of, there's nothing in this beer that really jumps out too much. There's nothing that really kind of tries to punch above its weight. This one's all about how the flavours kind of blend together, but I think the unique point, like I say, of this one is that sort of cakey, bready malt base that it has. So have a go at it and see what you think for yourselves. In terms of the mouthfeel of this one then, the first thing I noticed about this beer is that it really feels kind of quite clean. It does have a little bit of a kind of minerally feel to it in terms of the water. You can feel the quality, you can taste the quality of the water in this beer. And that's something I always like, especially when it comes to like Scottish beers, Icelandic beers. We're always pretty cool at that, and you do taste it in some of the beers from the north of Sweden as well, to be fair, but you can tell that this beer's got good quality water in it, and I think that can make a difference in terms of the mouthfeel of the beers. But I would say this beer is somewhere between mid and full bodied. In terms of an Imperial Stout, it's definitely not the heaviest one you're going to come across in the mouthfeel. Carbonation's very smooth. It's somewhere, like I said, between wet and oily. It leans a bit more towards the wet side of things for me rather than the oily. And I think partly that's due to the kind of the cleanliness of the water, if that makes sense, just how kind of fresh this water feels in the beer, but it really suits it actually. I like that about it. The malt base has a good balance between smoothness from the bready, grainy aspects that I'm talking about. As you progress later into it, you get a bit of roasted bitter quality, and there is a little bit of sweetness. So this is a kind of three-pronged malt base in this beer, I would say. There's a good bit of bitterness from the hops in this one, and just a little bit of juicy fruity character as well, but it does have a good little bit of bitterness on it, this stout, and I think that suits it really quite down to the ground. But as I said, a really high quality beer, and it's impressive that, you know, basically after a year these guys can produce beer of that quality. So I do see a very bright future ahead for Whiplash, and I've said the same when it's been their other beers as well. So I've tried an Imperial Stout from them now, I've tried a Belgian Cod, and now I've tried one of their IPAs and stuff like that as well. So I've tried things from all different ends of the spectrum, and they've all been pretty good. So as I say, in terms of Irish beer, I think this is one to watch, so I'm sure you'll be seeing more from these guys over the next little while. But yeah, I hope you guys watching Ireland have enjoyed this review. I hope the rest of you have enjoyed it as well. Of course, it's been really cool to review this one. The deadly, or the fatal Deviation, this one, the name of it went right out my head there, because 10% alcohol, you know, that can happen sometimes. But it's a really lovely Imperial Stout, and as I say, I think these guys have got a good future ahead. But thank you once again for watching my beer reviews. Until the next time, please like, subscribe, share, all the usual YouTube stuff. Let me know your own thoughts on this beer in the comment section below. Let me know what your favourite beers are from Whiplash as well. Do let me know if they do a Scotch ale. I would love to try a Scotch ale from Ireland, because it would be my very first one that I'm trying. I love trying Scotch ales from different parts of the world, and on the basis of the Quad and on the basis of this beer, I think these guys would do a bloody good job of that. But as I say, thank you for watching. Until the next time, like, subscribe, share, all the usual YouTube stuff. Check out my social media. Make sure you follow Whiplash on the things, and do please keep your Irish beer recommendations coming. But this is bloody good, and I do recommend that you have a go. The Fatal Deviation, an Imperial Stout from Whiplash Brewing Company over in County Kildare in Ireland. Really cracking beer. Slàinte just now. Cheers.